Today we're going to be talking about The Man from U.N.C.L.E, a movie that came out years ago. But it's an interesting little tale, this movie, because this is the movie from development to hell. A movie that took over 22 years to get made. Was it worth it? Time will tell. But we'll talk about it in the video more than anything. So The Man from U.N.C.L.E was a 1960s TV show. In 1993, a film producer named John Davis optioned the TV series to turn into a film. John Davis has been a big producer in Hollywood. He's made some good movies, a lot of bad movies. He's produced the likes of Waterworld, Dr. Dolittle, the Eddie Murphy version, Predator, Joy. You know, I can list a load of movies here. We could be here all day listing John Davis produced movies. So John Davis got a development deal with Warner Brothers for the movie, and the movie was eventually shot in 2013 before being released in 2014 after 22 years of development. It's reported he commissioned over 12 to 14 scripts over 20 years. That's a lot of scripts. So what went wrong for this project? Well, in the mid-90s, just after he picked it up, just after they got the development deal, very interestingly, Quentin Tarantino was attached to the project following Pulp Fiction. But he later went on to pull out of the project to focus on Jackie Brown, which is a hell of a movie if you haven't checked it out. In the years that followed, the project struggled to attach a director. Directors like Matthew Vaughn was attached, who's known for Kick-Ass, Stardust, and X-Men First Class, amongst others. Then David Dobkin was attached, or perhaps beforehand. It's hard to keep up with all the directors they had. He's known for projects like Wedding Crashers and The Change-Up, which is very different to Matthew Vaughn's movies and subsequently very different to Quentin Tarantino's movies. So they were kind of just trying to get any director they could for this one. However, in the early 2010s, they finally attached a director they were happy with. Steven Soderbergh, a very acclaimed film director, of course, known for stuff like Aaron Brockovich, Ocean's 11. We can sit here for days listening to Steven Soderbergh movies. So Soderbergh was attached with Scott Z. Burns attached to write the screenplay. These two worked together on Contagion and Side Effects, which were okay movies, nothing spectacular. However, Steven Soderbergh ended up leaving the project over budgetary concerns. Warner Brothers supposedly wanted the budget to stay under $60 million, and Soderbergh felt this wasn't enough money to complete the movie with its 1960s setting and all the props and everything they needed to make the movie actually good. So he left the project in 2011. Soderbergh was then replaced with Guy Ritchie in 2013. That's 2 years later, they eventually got another director. Guy Ritchie, of course, known for the likes of Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, Sherlock Holmes. This was 2013 when Guy Ritchie was attached to their project, 20 years after John Davis optioned the series. Now, Guy Ritchie is the one who got the project going and ultimately got it made. The film began shooting in late 2013. But it wasn't just the director and screenwriter that was hard to come by for the movie from development hell. The casting was quite interesting too. In November 2010, George Clooney was attached to play the lead role in Napoleon Solo, and Emily Blunt was reportedly signed on to work on Steven Soderbergh's movie. However, George Clooney dropped out in late 2011 due to a reoccurring back injury, and Emily Blunt dropped out of the project soon after Steven Soderbergh left. Following Clooney's departure, the film looked at pretty much everybody they could for the movie. They looked at Ewan McGregor, Leonardo DiCaprio, Christian Bale, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Matt Damon, Michael Fassbender, Bradley Cooper, Ryan Gosling, Channing Tatum, Russell Crowe, Chris Pine, Ryan Reynolds, and John Hamm. All of those men were considered for the lead role of Napoleon Solo. However, in 2013, they finally got their man, a certain Maverick. Tom Cruise took the role of Napoleon Solo in 2013, with Armie Hammer signed on to be second lead. Alicia Vikander also joined the project, and it was all sailing. However, Tom Cruise dropped out of the project because he wanted to focus on Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. So once again, the search for a lead man began after all the trouble they had previously trying to find someone. However, earlier that year in 2013, a new hero rose. Following the success of Man of Steel, Henry Cavill joined their project in the lead role of Napoleon Solo. It's crazy to think all the actors that were considered for the role and eventually even had the role. But eventually, after all that development and all those different actors and all the different directors and screenwriters, the film began shooting in 2013 with a $75 million budget, which is more than Steven Soderbergh was being given. That's why Soderbergh left. Why didn't they just give him the extra money? The film was released in August 2015 after initially being slated for January 2015. The film came out just a couple of weeks after Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. And according to the Hollywood Reporter, the movie made an $80 million loss at minimum when you factor in all the costs and expenses down the years. $80 million. It's a lot of money. In the end, the movie was fine. It was nothing spectacular, but it was nothing terrible. It was It was decent. It didn't win any major awards, and on Rotten Tomatoes, it currently sits on a 68% critic score and a 73% audience score. The audience score is what suggests it does have its fair few fans, and there has been rumours of a sequel in recent years. In 2017, Armie Hammer did an interview with Slash Film where he revealed he'd been talking to writer Lionel Wigram about making a sequel, and he was fully on board. It's also one of those movies that at the very end it sets up for the sequel, when Hugh Grant tells the two main men that they now work for the Man from U.N.C.L.E, or under the banner of the Man from U.N.C.L.E, or under the banner of U.N.C.L.E, setting up possibly more than just a sequel, an entire franchise. However, there are some problems to this. Since the initial film was released, the film's second lead star and the man championing for a sequel, Armie Hammer, has reportedly been blackballed in Hollywood due to a series of allegations against him. He's had a series of major abuse allegations against him by multiple women, including numerous claims of sexual assault, but it should be noted that Armie Hammer denies all allegations against him. It's certainly a spanner in the works for the project, though, if they were considering making a sequel. Of course, the project can move forward without Armie Hammer. They could just write his character out or even recast him. Although maybe this film has, some PTSD about casting after how hard they found it to find the lead man. There's also the big issue that the movie was a major box office flop. And with a sequel needing an equally hefty budget to the initial movie, it's highly unlikely any major studio is going to take a gamble on it. However, the film has found some success and a fan base on streaming services. So with modern day services all competing for new content and original content, maybe Netflix or Amazon or one of the 5 million subscription services we all get now is going to pick it up.